Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another episode where we talk about building items on Vayne. And for this episode, layer number 3, we're going to talk about your choice between Phantom Dancer, Stattik Shiv, and Rapid Firecannon as your Zeal item. So in the previous episode, we established under what circumstances you should buy Ghost Blade or Blade of the Ruined King. And now we're going to talk about, in the same vein as that, under which circumstances you should buy which of these 3 items. So like in the previous episode, we're just going to do a brief rundown for everybody that doesn't want to watch the entire video. Totally understandable, here's your information. Number 1. Phantom Dancer. That should be the item you pick under most circumstances. Phantom Dancer is a great item to purchase against teams that you feel like are going to dive on you. If the enemy has some sort of Fed Diana, Jax, Echo, something that's going to be jumping on you and trying to assassinate you, you want this item because the 12% damage reduction against a diver can really save your life. Also, if you think the game is going to go into the super late game, Phantom Dancer is another good pick. Also, if you feel like the enemy team has a lot of movement speed that you need to chase down, again, Phantom Dancer is a good pick. Like I said, there's a lot of circumstances which you can buy this under. It's just a really versatile item. Stattik Shiv should be purchased usually with a Ghost Blade as like a pair item. When you buy Ghost Blade, you also probably want to buy a Stattik Shiv unless you're really concerned about somebody diving on you. This is just because the extra burst from the Stattik Shiv proc can let you destroy squishies even more. It basically makes you better at what you're already good at doing. And finally, Rapid Firecannon is the most niche item that you're ever going to be buying on Vayne for the Zeal items, but it should be picked against a team that has specifically long-ranged carries that can hit you without you getting close to deal reasonable amount of damage. Normally, you just wouldn't even pick Vayne in this circumstance, but if you are playing a Vayne against, like, I don't know, a Xerath Caitlyn, you're going to want to pick up Rapid Fire Cannon so you can actually deal damage to them. Alright, so for the rest of you guys that want more in-depth information, unfortunately for you, there's not a whole hell of a lot to talk about other than that right there. But I will provide whatever extra information I do know to give you guys the best chance of making the right choice. So first off, let's talk about Phantom Dancer. Again, I've already reviewed all the basics as to why it's good, so I won't bore you to death with that. But I want you guys to take note of, because we're going to mostly focus on the other 2 items that we haven't touched on yet, is the fact that Phantom Dancer has by far the best stats out of any of these 2 Zeal items. Phantom Dancer gives 10% more attack speed than Stattik Shiv, and 15% more attack speed than Rapid Fire Cannon. So we're not going to talk about unique passives on any of these items, just looking at tick-for-tat stats, Phantom Dancer is the best, and that's why it scales best into the late game. Anyway, Stattik Shiv, let's talk about this bad boy right here. So earlier I mentioned that it's best paired with Ghost Blade for super big crit bursts or whatever. So what does that mean and why it's good? So essentially, Stattik Shiv has a unique passive on it that whenever you auto-attack someone, if you get an energized, aka it just procs the passive on it when you have 100 stacks of the Stattik Shiv thingy-majigger, it will deal chain lightning damage to someone. So essentially, a lightning bolt will hit a target, it'll deal whatever magic damage it's going to deal based on your level and whether it crits or not, and it'll jump between 4 or 5 enemies until fireworks are over and you're back to 0 stacks. So why is this good for one-shotting squishies? Well, the thing about Stattik Shiv is that number 1, it does a lot more like lightning damage than Rapid Fire Cannon does. Number 2, this lightning damage can also crit, and scales of critical damage, which means Infinity Edge buffs the crit on this. So in theory, let's say you ult stealth tumble auto someone with a lot of flat armor penetration and you have Stattik Shiv Infinity Edge Yomu's Ghost Blade. First, you shave off 20 of their flat armor. Then, you deal a crit with your tumble, which does a lot of damage. Then the lightning will also crit, and keep in mind that this tumble crit is buffed by the damage on your final hour. Then this lightning will crit on somebody, which will also scale with Infinity Edge crit damage as well as your auto attack does, meaning that you will deal a huge amount of damage in just one auto attack. Let's see it in practice right here. And due to the fact that this lightning will jump in between targets, it also means that Stattik Shiv is a really good item to wave clear. So if you have a Fizz mid laner in the late game, you're not going to have any wave clear in your team whatsoever. That guy sucks at clearing waves. Especially at lower ELO, people love to pick these mid lane assassins that don't actually have any ability to clear waves, and you might find yourself unable to fend off sieges from the enemy team. If that's the case, you can be a smart team player and pick up a Stattik Shiv in order to help you clear these waves, since the lightning damage will damage all the minions in the wave but one, so you can clear them very, very easily. And if they crit, you can sometimes just one-shot waves if you have an Infinity Edge. So it's good for clearing waves and bursting squishy targets for these reasons, mostly due to the fact that the chain lightning damage can crit and it scales of Infinity Edge crit damage. So 99% of the time, Rapid Fire Cannon, which is the next item we'll talk about, is just a really shitty version of these other two attack speed items. First of all, usually you don't need this extra range on Vayne to catch up with people since you have so much movement speed built into your kit already. Your passive gives you 90 extra movement speed whenever you're running towards an enemy, so it's really unlikely you'll encounter someone besides something like a Master Yi or a Janna or Lulu that can actually reasonably outrun you. So the range is typically useless on Vayne. Furthermore, due to the lack of stats on it, it's just not going to give you as much bang for your buck. And the Energize passive on it is just simply worse than the one on Stattik Shiv, unless you desperately need that extra range. So I implore you, only pick up Rapid Fire Cannon when you are absolutely sure there is nobody on the enemy team you're going to be able to hit without that extra range. I mean, there's no divers, there's no big tanks, there's literally nothing but long-ranged kite champions that you can't get close to in a team fight. Again, like I said, item is very, very niche. Rarely, if ever, will you need to pick up a rapid fire cannon. I'd say maybe 1 out of every 50 games I consider buying a rapid fire cannon, let alone actually purchasing it. So anyway, guys, that will be all for this episode of building items on Vayne. I'm sorry it was a little bit of a shorter one, but it's really not that complicated of a decision. Most of the time, you just pick up Phantom Dancer against divers, and if there aren't any divers and you have a Youmuu's, pick up a Stattik. It's really that simple. And don't even worry about the Fringe Canes or Rapid Fire Cannon. If you're zealous and you want the optimal build every game, then sure, keep it on your mind. But the pros rarely build it, so you shouldn't even have to ever. Thank you so much for watching. The next episode is going to be talking about Gosu's Rage Blade. I've got some nice little clips for that. I had a game finally to pick it up. It's a very niche item, but it's always worth keeping in the back of your mind because sometimes it can help you carry games. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please make sure to like, sub, and share, and I'll talk to you guys later.